Shalom, my name is Joe Can. This is my friend, Harry Bottle. And today we want to talk about this week's Torah reading. This week we read the last two chapters of the book of Numbers, Matot and Masai. Masai recounts the travels of the children of Israel in the desert for 40 years. And at the end of the Parsha, there's a mitzvah of making cities of refuge in the land of Israel, which the people are preparing soon to enter into. All in all, the Torah commands that there be 6 cities of refuge. Here, if you look at this map here, this is a map of the land of Canaan, which became the land of Israel. This is the Mediterranean Sea. This is the coastline. This, of course, is the Salt Sea or the Dead Sea. This is the Kinneret. This is the Hula Lake, which was drained in the past century but used to be up here. And running between this, of course, is the Jordan River. In modern parlance, this part of the side of the Jordan River is called the East Bank because it's on the east. This side, which is the land of Israel today, is called the West Bank. All this was part of the Palestine Mandate under the British, and then they created the country of Jordan, Transjordan, over here on the East Bank. And then in 1948, when there was a war, the Jordanians conquered part of the West Bank and held it until 1967 when Israel recaptured it. But that's not our point today. That's just a historical digression. We want to talk about the cities of refuge. So the Torah commands that there be 6 cities of refuge, 3 on each side of the Jordan, because there was 2.5 tribes that were here, and there was 9.5 tribes which were on this side of the Jordan. 2.5 sit up here, and it says there should be 3 equidistant cities on each side of the Jordan, like that. And what was the point of these cities of refuge? Here, let's read from the portion itself. It says, when you cross the Jordan to the land of Canaan, you shall designate cities for yourselves, cities of refuge they shall be for you, and a killer shall flee there, one who takes a life unintentionally. The cities shall be for you a refuge from the avenger, so that the killer will not die until he stands before the assembly for judgment. End quote. So what it's talking about here is when a homicide takes place, whether it's an accident or on purpose. So there was a how do we say, a right or a dispensation for a relative of the victim to pursue after the one who killed him and to kill him, like to avenge his blood. But if the person who killed the other person, if he gets to the city of refuge, one of those 6 cities of refuge, which we just talked about, okay, if he gets to one of the 6 cities of refuge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, before the avenger catches up to him and kills him, then he's safe. That's like base, he's safe there. So that's the point. But then what would happen? After they flee there, then there would be a trial, and they would decide if he's guilty or not guilty, if an accident, not accident. Basically, there's four possibilities that could happen when there's a unintentional murder like that. Here, let's read in the commentary here in our... Whoops! Mr. Bottle fell. In our Stone's edition Torah for Bamidbar, March 12. Let's look here and see what are the four possibilities that you could have. Here's what it says. Listen carefully. Are you listening, Mr. Bottle? I'm listening. Good. Okay. It's like this. Whenever someone takes a life, there are four general possibilities. A. If the act was accidental to a degree that the perpetrator was blameless, he is absolved of responsibility, right? Sometimes accidents really just happen. Things that are totally not anyone's fault. Then he would be absolved. Then he could go home from the city of refuge. B. If the act was unintentional, but with a clearly defined degree of carelessness, the perpetrator is exiled to the city of refuge. Right? So he just stays in the city of refuge. He stays there until the death of the high priest, which could be 1 year, 5 years, 50 years. It's up to God when the high priest is going to die. So it could be a long time. But that's for a killing which is accidental, but there was negligence. Let's say you're texting on your phone while you're driving. Heaven forbid, heaven forbid, heaven forbid. Texting while driving or some other negligent act, and heaven forbid you hit someone and kill them. So then you have to flee to the city of refuge, and then you might be judged to have to stay there because you really did unintentionally kill someone. Now the other two things would be like this. C. If the circumstances of the intentional killing were such that the court cannot carry out the death penalty, or if there was a high degree of negligence, what the sages call unintentional but close to intentional, the sin is too grave to be absolved by exile, right? So there could be things that are worse than really bad, like for example, I don't like to talk about sad things, but about a year and a half ago, there was some young teenager from East Jerusalem who bought a new car, and he sped around like at a super high speeds on the highway for fun, and went through red lights, and he hit people, and he killed a precious young mother and her child. That's like unintentional, but almost intentional. I mean, if you speed like a lunatic through intersections for fun, that's almost like intentional murder or negligence. So that would be too severe. The person wouldn't stay in the. It'd be interesting what they would do with him. And then the fourth case, D, is if the killing was intentional, really intentional, and the killer was properly warned, and his act was witnessed, he is liable to execution by the court. So those are the four cases. Those are the four cases that we could have, and then but it all starts with because of this avenger of blood mechanism by the people fleeing to the city of refuge. What's fascinating about this idea of the city of refuge is this. It's not about vigilantism that the avenger of blood, the Goel Adam, is allowed to kill the person before he gets there. No. What it's really about, as Rabbi Emanuel Rachman described in his book, One Man's Judaism, it's about getting the judicial process started. Because unfortunately, in our societies, when there's crimes committed, a lot of times, our police forces aren't so efficient and aren't so effective, and they don't even know who did them, and they don't even get started for years maybe until they get investigated. But here, Rabbi Rachman explains, here the beauty is because of this mechanism to go al adam, because rumors go when people know when things happen. They say, we think so and so did it, maybe so, or maybe some people saw it, whatever it is, they don't want to take a chance because the Goa Adam could come and kill them. So everyone, whether it's intentional or unintentional, they all run first and foremost to the city of refuge, and from there, then they have a court case. Then he's protected, and then he's like in witness protection, the Havdil, but not really because they know who he is. But they have a trial, and then they decide which of the four cases that we just said it is, and then they decide if they want to let him go, or if he wants them to let him stay there, or if he has to be killed, or etc. There's also like the fourth case I said where they can't like kill himself, but there might be a case where the court would put him what is like kippah, meaning they put him in like some little place for a long time where he can't go out, and they feed him like barley, just like feed him like barley grains for a long time. So it's like he's he has barley in him, and then they give him water to drink, and then the barley expands and he dies from that. So it's not like killing him directly, but it's like killing him indirectly because they can't let like people that are just like so negligently dangerous, and they can't just let them be free. So that's the amazing thing about the city of refuge. And we learn also that in the book of Joshua was the one who actually led the children of Israel into the land of Israel. In the book of Joshua, they delineated there was also 42 other cities which were given to the Levites. The city of refuge were also Levitical cities. The tribe of Levi didn't have any land, but they had these Levitical cities, and there was 42 other ones distributed throughout the land, which the other tribes donated. Each one donated an equal value of land to make up the 42 cities, the 48 cities altogether. The 6 major cities of refuge and the 42 other Levitical cities, which I think could also collect. I'm not sure if people could also go to there or not, but there was these cities, and it was all part of this amazing thing. By the way, those who did stay in the cities of refuge, so they were there with the Levites, and Levites were like teachers and whatnot. So basically, it was like a giant rehab center. It was like 48 rehab centers spread around the world, not spread around the country, and not only rehab centers, but also other people could come there and learn from them. So it was also like education centers, so like university towns. It was really an amazing thing. So thanks for listening. We wish everyone a good Shabbat. This is Shabbat Parshas Matos Masai. We're all looking forward to it with joy. Thanks for joining Joe Ken and Harry Bottle today, and we wish you well until next week. Shalom.